Hey guys, what's up? Paragon here. I'm going to do something for you guys that I wish someone had done for me, and that's tell me the most valuable information you need to know when starting out in Diablo 4. Things that you should do, things you should never do, and some things that just simply make your journey easier through Diablo 4. So if you want to hear some awesome tips and tricks, maybe even how to turn what would be sacred item drops into free ancestral gear, then stick around for these awesome tips. Hey guys, number one, settings. So, going to start by just showing you our skills. If you notice with this settings, basically you cannot see any advanced tooltip information on here. All you see is the base energy cost and the damage. And if you mouse over our gear, you can see the armor, or if it's a weapon, you can see the DPS increase in red or green. That's pretty much it. But we want to see more than this. This is going to be very useful. So we're going to fix this by going to options, go to gameplay, and we're going to check both these boxes: advanced tooltip compare, advanced tooltip information, save and close. And what you're going to notice is when we mouse over a skill, not only do we see lucky hit chance, which is a very important game mechanic, but we also can see other statistics like the percentage increase in damage that we're getting and the base increase in damage range. And you'll notice that's for every skill. So just more information, always better to have more information. Same thing for your gear now. When we compare it, not only do you see how much armor or DPS you would gain or lose in green or red, but you also now see how much stats and what type of stats you would gain in green or lose in red. These are very important. Always leave them on. All right, guys, quick tip. As you're playing through Diablo 4, especially as a new player, you're going to notice these things called events. They're basically little circles that pop up on the map, like in the top right of the mini map here. And when you see these, they're going to start an event when you walk into them. So if you see these, I highly recommend that you do them. Every time I see them, I do them. It's a great way to get rare upgrades, and sometimes they can drop legendaries. When you finish the event, what will happen is it'll either drop a radiant or resplendent chest. There can be events in cellars. So if you see a cellar, go into the cellar, clear it really quick, get some experience points. It's typically pretty good experience because they often spawn a lot of elites. So clear it. The chest will drop. Once the chest drops, get your loot, get your obols, and then move on through the world. It's just an extra source of experience and loot. I think it's highly worth it. I recommend that you do it. And it's, they're pretty fun. So enjoy that and have fun. Okay, guys, next tip: use an interactive map. This is actually a good tip. I wish I had known this from the very, very beginning. When you first start out and you're down here in Kiyovishat area right here, you notice like you can you know you don't always know where everything's at, and you don't have a way of tracking like always know exactly what you've missed and what you haven't missed. And this is a great way to do that. You come over here, you click altars of Lilith. Now you can see every altar of Lilith. You go through and you click like an altar of Lilith. Say you found that one. You go over here and you say, okay, I found this one, and I found this one. And then as you go through the game, you can come back later and go like, okay, which ones did I miss? You can clearly see which ones you haven't gotten, and the ones that you've gotten, track. Great way to track your progress. Side quests are also over here. You can turn on side quests. You have strongholds. You have dungeons. You can track specific aspects. So this is just a really good map. There's quite a few online. I like this one. It's d4planner.io. You go to the menu, you select interactive map. It'll bring you here. It also has a timer in the top left corner once you get to end game, which will show you world boss spawns, helltide spawns, and legion spawns. They're not perfect, but they're pretty accurate. So when you get close to the time countdown of the legion or helltide, just start looking on your map. It'll show up. I will say this map and most other interactive maps will put a red icon on one of the zones where the helltide spawns. The legion, however, as far as I know, it does not show you. I have everything turned off except for the mystery chests. If you see these are the mystery chests in the helltide. So when it does spawn, this is every location in the world that a mystery chest can spawn. One of these will light up green, and that'll let you know where you need to go to once you have your 175 cinders. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, you will. Helltides are awesome, and we'll have a tip trick about that in a little bit. But for now, use an interactive map. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of headache. All right, this is just a quick tip about upgrading your gear. If you plan on adding an aspect to your gear, please upgrade the gear before you add an aspect to it because it's a lot cheaper to upgrade rares and before they become legendaries. If you add an aspect and then upgrade it to 5 stacks, it's going to cost you a lot more material. So just upgrade the rare, then add the aspect to it if you plan on keeping it. So this is a slight upgrade for me. It's going to go from +3 to +4 pulverize. I'm going to lose a little bit of crit chance and gain a little bit of willpower, which is nice because that's a multiplicative source of damage. So what I'll do is I'll right click that in the window. And here's another tip for you. Make sure that you use a corresponding item level. So for example, if I wanted to use a white, which means that it's a lower level one, notice that it costs 30 Veld crystals and 12 pulling wards. But if I want to put a higher level one in here, notice the price goes down 8 18 and 6, almost half the cost. So you can actually find these, like for example, here's one that I want to use. Ursign Horror costs 18 and 6 because it's actually a sacred legendary, right? You can find these that are like sacred legendary. You can find them here that are ancestral legendaries. If you're going to put like an ancestral legendary on here, look at this. It's even cheaper because this is an ancestral piece of gear. So if you put the same type of aspect onto the same type of gear, you're going to get a lot cheaper price. So what you need to watch out for is trying to throw a regular legendary aspect on a sacred piece of gear or ancestral. It's going to cost a lot more money, although it is doable. So if this is the only one you have, just spend the extra mats, that's fine. But if you can, for example, you have one that's sacred. This is not the best, this is sacred, but it's still a lot cheaper. Now, if I had an ancestral, I would use that, or I would use the one that had the best roll. So it's okay to use a different aspect. Just understand that if you have a comparable aspect that is more in line with the level of your gear, use that one. It'll save you some mats in the long run. Okay. Okay, guys, I just want to talk real quick about aspects. Aspects, for anybody who's new to the game, has never played before, are things that drop on legendary gear or things that you can put on rare gear and it becomes legendary. So basically, you cannot put an aspect on a blue piece of gear, but you can put it on a yellow. You can also re-roll aspects that are on legendary gear. So if you have a good piece of legendary and you want to change the aspect, you can come here and change it. How you get aspects basically is by two ways. One is going to be by completing dungeons that have aspects in them. And the second way is going to be coming to the occultist, go to the second tab, and you may extract aspects out of your gear. So if I put these boots in here, I can extract this aspect, and then I can take that aspect, put it in this tab right here, throw another piece of gear in there, and then this aspect would be in this, it's empty, but it would be here. I could put it in here, and then it would actually be a little bit cheaper, and it would be exactly whatever, it would be the same roll. So this says 36 second cooldown. So this would also be a 36-second cooldown. So just keep that in mind. It's just a way to upgrade your gear to legendary. There's a lot of aspects in the game that you're going to want to have for your build, depending on what class you play. Also, I would keep in mind that when you first start a new character, you cannot actually come here to the occultist until you've unlocked him. And the only way to unlock him is to either A, get to level 25, or B, have completed a dungeon that has a aspect in it. These are dungeons, and all these, you notice they don't show any aspects because I've already cleared them on my main character. So you have to do a dungeon that you have never cleared before. If you've already cleared the dungeon and you do it again, it's not going to unlock the occultist. You'll have to wait till level 25. If you do the dungeon, don't worry about if it's sorcerer or rogue or barbarian or druid. It doesn't matter. Just do the dungeon. You'll get the aspect for that class. It'll put it in your codex of power, and it will unlock the occultist. Then you can come here and you can use the occultist, which is, allows you to basically enchant gear and rip off aspects and put them on other pieces of gear. And you can go codex of power, click this little icon, and it'll show you all the aspects available for your class. If you put a piece of gear in the window, like for example rings, it'll only show you aspects that you can put on rings. Okay, you change this at top here and it shows you the different aspects. Keep that in mind now, guys. It's not all in the first tab. These are defensive aspects, offensive aspects. These are utility aspects, and this is like movement speed and stuff. Okay, so basically, if you put armor in there, it can only use defensive aspects. Gloves can use like offensive aspects and defensive aspects. Weapons use offensive aspects. So the offensive aspects are really kind of what you don't have a lot of slots for, and so it's really good to put them on gloves, rings, and amulets. Okay, and defensive aspects are pretty much going to go on your other pieces of armor and utility. So just keep that in mind. The only other thing I would say is, as you're leveling, try not to put aspects on your weapons. Aspects on your weapons are going to get replaced very often. If you're going to throw an aspect on a weapon, there's only a couple classes I recommend doing it. It's like rogue. If you have hidden blades and you're like, I really want to put hidden blades aspect because it's really good, put it on your bow. You're not going to replace your bow. So get a bow with some good stats like dexterity and vulnerability. Put the aspect on that. It's going to have a 200% value because it's a 200 weapon. And then you can just replace your daggers and swords every few levels, so your DPS is constantly going up, and you don't have to worry about replacing that bow. You can just leave it all the way to level 50. Okay, and the same thing goes for like a barbarian or there's a few classes that can do this, but for the most part, if you're like a mage or a druid or something, and you're like I don't have an extra weapon slot, that's okay. Put it on your amulet or your rings, because you can find some decently rolled rings early on. Like this is pretty garbage, but you know what? It's got enough crit and enough crit damage to be like in some life where I'm like, it's okay. I'll throw an aspect on there that I need, and I'll use it all the way to level 50. I don't care. At level 50, I'll find a better aspect and then I'll replace it. Or if I have quite a bit, of things to re-roll it, I'll do that. Because as you can see, it's like 10 of these to re-roll one item. And for a two-handed weapon, it actually costs 20. And that might seem like a lot when you're in game, but when you're making a new character, it takes a while to get 20 of these because you have to break down gear and you're going to be needing some of the gear and you're not going to get a ton of rares early in the game. But in the 20s and 30s, you'll start to pick up more and you can start to afford more aspects. So just be aware of that. I wouldn't go around and go crazy, but there are aspects you're going to need. Try not to put them on your weapons you're going to use. And try not to go crazy with them. Put them on things like rings and amulets and other pieces of gear. You'll get plenty of them. They're fun. You can rip them off and put them on pieces of gear. It's one of the cool things about this game. So enjoy them. Just be careful about how you take them off and what pieces you put them on. All right, guys, this next tip is mostly going to be for new players, or for players playing alts, but by then you should know this. But basically, when you start a new character, you're probably either going to be A, experimenting and trying new builds, or B, you're probably going to be following a build guide like a lot of people, and that's okay. But just keep in mind, as you're leveling, you're going to have items drop, aspects are going to drop with, legendary gear with aspects, or you may just see certain skills that you want to try. Don't be afraid to respec. It's fairly cheap. This character is an alt of mine. I'm just messing around with it. It's level 25, so it's halfway to 50. And even at halfway to 50, it's like 127 gold. So like if I wanted to back out of these skills here, it doesn't cost much money. I could easily back out of here and then go over here and try these new skills out. All you got to do is, you can back out one at a time. You can reset the whole tree. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Don't be afraid to respec. Refund all. 4,000 gold. That's nothing. So, if you see skills, you're like, I wonder if this is any good. Don't be afraid. Respect as often as you want to, okay? This game encourages that. Experiment, play with new abilities, try new passives, have fun, play the game you want to, like you want to, okay? Hey guys, quick tip. Okay, so as you're playing Diablo 4 and progressing through the world of Sanctuary, you're going to be getting a lot of loot. Some of this loot you need, some of it you don't need. So what you can do is you can mouse over the item, or if you're on a controller, you can hover over the item, and you can mark it as junk. For a controller, I believe it's like square or the corresponding button on the Xbox. And for PC, you just hit spacebar and it'll mark it as junk. This makes your life a lot easier if you just go through and be like, I don't need these items. They're junk. And when you're done, you can easily come over here to the blacksmith.
I cannot carry anymore.
Easy there, big guy. You can do it. All right. So you can now hit all junk and it'll salvage all the items that you hit here. Or if you want to sell it, you can easily just come over here to the, come on, buddy. You can get through the door. To the weaponsmith, and you can right click and it'll just sell all the junk for you. So this will save you a lot of time managing your inventory. Okay,
my bags are full.
Quick tip, wish I'd known this earlier. It does help a lot. All right, this next tip is going to be a real quick tip. It doesn't matter what world tier you're in or if you're high level or low level, but just keep an eye on the vendors. Vendors inventory resets on the hour every hour, so it's 20 minutes till the hour and it's going to reset in 20 minutes. But just every once in a while, just swing by and take a look and see what they're selling. This is pretty much garbage. But I can't tell you how many times where I've seen like over around the 800 item power or higher being from a vendor, and that's what you're looking for in game. And so you're just looking to see what kind of stats, and if you get lucky, you may get some really good gear, even if you're in low tier levels or world tier 1 or world tier 2. Check it out. It usually doesn't cost that much money, and some of the stuff you can get out of there is really, really good. So just be aware of that. All right, guys, the next tip is going to be about obols. As you progress through the game and the world of Sanctuary, you're going to get plenty of these obols from just world events, from killing stuff, and from opening chests. Eventually, you're going to cap out, and when you do, you're going to need to spin them. So if you need a specific piece of gear, come here and try to get it. Just keep in mind that the prices are not equal on all these, so some of these are a lot more expensive, like 200 weapons. But if you're looking for just like an offensive aspect, like I am, which can roll on like weapons, gloves, and rings, then by all means, just come down here and pick one of those instead. Okay, if you're looking for a defensive aspect, then just great. If you're looking to just get the aspect, maybe spam some boots or pants. They're cheap. If you're looking for a offensive aspect, I recommend just spamming an offhand item like totem, or for a mage, a focus. And then this is what I did. So I spammed a bunch of totems, and as you can see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legendaries, and I actually got quite a few good, legendary aspects that I could possibly use for later on. Okay, so just be aware, you don't have to always buy the most expensive. If you need a specific upgrade, use it. If you don't, target farm the cheapest one, and that'll save you some mobiles. All right, guys, so this is just a quick tip about Hell Tides. You unlock Hell Tides once you get to end game and you finish the capstone dungeon. You'll unlock World Tier 3. In World Tier 3, Hell Tides become available, and they show up by being this red zone. You're going to always want to open these tortured gift of mysteries because they're worth 175 centers and they drop a lot of uniques out. If you're in World Tier 3, they'll drop a ton of sacreds. But if you're getting close to where you should be in World Tier 4, but World Tier 4 is just a little bit too hard for you to do, log into World Tier 3, get your splint senders, come over here to the gift of mysteries, log out, turn it to World Tier 4, log back in, and then you'll get the ancestral versions of the gear. So we'll just change it real quick to World Tier 4 and then back in the game. It only takes a few seconds. Keep in mind, if you do have an experience potion on, it will drop your experience potion, which is kind of strange, but so that's the only thing you're really going to lose. But watch out when you log back in. Sometimes there can be mobs there, and if you're low enough level, they can destroy you and you'll lose half your cinders. Sorry. So just be aware of that. So I'm going to log in here. Now I'm in World Tier 4. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the chest. And what you're going to notice is I'm going to probably get some ancestral gear out of here instead of just sacred gear. So there we go. There's some ancestral ring. There's an ancestral two-handed weapon, and there's an ancestral ring. So another ancestral axe. So very easily, a great, easy way to farm ancestral gear if you're not quite strong enough to go into World Tier 4, but you can do World Tier 3. So go into World Tier 3, very quickly farm up your 175, go to the mystery chest, log out, change it to World Tier 4, grab you some free ancestral gear, guys. All right, guys, this is just going to be a quick tip about difficulty. I feel like when people first start out, they look at difficulty and they have a little bit of a misunderstanding. And I think this can be like kind of a trap. World Tier 1, enemies are easy to defeat. You don't get a bonus. World Tier 2, enemies are a little tougher and they give you a 20% increase experience points. The problem is that the reason I think this is a trap is because a lot of people will choose this to get the experience bonus and the extra gold. Gold is pointless because monsters just don't drop gold. Even at high tier levels, they just don't drop gold. You get gold from selling items. At level 50, you can sell a bag full of items for like 400,000 or 500,000 gold. At higher levels, you're going to get millions of gold and just running dungeons. It's really easy. The 15% gold that from drops is useless. So don't let that fool you. Second, the experience that you get, monsters give 20% increased experience. That only applies to monster kills. And when you first start playing the game, you're going to be getting a ton of experience from quests, from campaign quests, from side quests, from unlocking waypoints, from unlocking altars of Lilith. All these objectives give you experience points, and it's going to be giving you renown points. And these are things that are going to all give you experience as you unlock them. And that doesn't, and so there's no point in putting it on veteran to really ramp the difficulty up. So if for example, veteran has like 50% more health, and you kill 100 mobs on veteran, and you get 20% extra experience, you have to kill 120 mobs on adventurer. The problem is you can kill 150 mobs on tier 1 in the same exact time that you kill 100 on tier 2. So you're going to get actually like 150% experience then compared to the 120% experience in World Tier 2. So the argument is that World Tier 1 is not only faster, it gives you more experience points, and it's just as easy. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't play World Tier 2 if you want to. By all means, go for it. I played World Tier 2 on my first playthrough, and that was fine. I played on a rogue. It was enjoyable. I went right through the game, but I'm also leveling up alts, and I'm not going to waste time in World Tier 2 when I don't have to. World Tier 3 will come after you get to end game. You go to World Tier 2. You'll have to while you're in World Tier 2, this capstone dungeon will become available in Kiowa Shed. You can unlock it. It'll unlock World Tier 3. Once you get high enough in World Tier 3, you can do a capstone dungeon, and it'll unlock World Tier 4. Okay, I think there's a World Tier 5 coming. We've seen some data about that. We don't know. Stay tuned. But for now, guys, play on World Tier 1. It's the fastest and most efficient way to play. If you want a challenge, play on 2. I don't recommend it, but you do you. Okay, guys, that's 11 things that I wish I had known when I started playing Diablo 4. Did I forget something? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section what it was that you found out that you wish you had known earlier. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe.